Hi guys, welcome back to R.M.Aviation. Today we'll be discussing the United Airlines Flight 232 was a domestic flight that tragically crashed on the 19th of July, 1989 after experiencing a catastrophic engine failure while en route to from Denver to Chicago. The crash occurred at Sioux City Airport in Iowa, and although the plane was severely damaged, the quick thinking and heroic actions of the flight crew combined with the response of emergency personnel resulted in 184 survivors out of 296 people on board. Despite the severity of the accident, the flight quickly became a textbook case of how crew resource management and effectiveness of quick decision-making in emergencies. Here are the details. The aircraft was a McDonnell Douglas DC-10-10. Flight number was United Airlines Flight 232. Route was Denver International Airport to Chicago O'Hare International Airport. The date was the 19th of July, 1989. Departure time was 3 p.m. local time. Fatalities was 111, and survivors was 184. The timeline of events. The United Airlines Flight 232, a McDonnell Douglas DC-10 aircraft, took off from Denver International Airport at around 3 p.m. with 3 pilots, captain, first officer, and flight engineer, and 296 passengers. The flight was en route to Chicago O'Hare. Everything appeared to be normal as the aircraft climbed to cruising altitude. The engine failure. About 37 minutes after takeoff, while the aircraft was cruising at an altitude of approximately 37,000 feet, a catastrophic engine failure occurred. The tail-mounted engine, the number engine 2 of the DC-10, the failure was caused by the separation of a fan disc in the engine, which resulted in a massive explosion. The explosion caused significant damage to the tail section of the aircraft, including the hydraulic systems that controlled the aircraft's flight surfaces, such as ailerons, rudders, and elevators. The engine hydraulic failure ruptured hydraulic lines that caused the loss of 3 hydraulic systems, which are critical for controlling the aircraft's flight. With no hydraulic power, the flight crew were unable to use conventional controls to steer the plane or control the pitch and roll. 3. Crew's response to the emergency. The flight crew, led by Captain L. Haines and First Officer William R. Records, and Flight Engineer Dudley D. O'Donnell, faced near impossible situation. They quickly realized that they had lost all their hydraulic control over the aircraft, making it essentially uncontrollable. However, the crew discovered that they could still control the aircraft's movement through using thrust and manipulating the engines affect the yaw, side-to-side movement, pitch up and down movement. The key controlling the plane was the ability to vary engine power by adjusting the thrust of the remaining 2 engines. They could induce controlled asymmetric thrust, which allowed them to steer the plane and keep it flying in a somewhat controlled manner. Captain Haines and the First Officer Records attempted to fly the plane with a rudder engine thrust alone, using the throttle on the engines to keep the aircraft flying straight and managing altitude for as long as possible. The crew's ability to manipulate the aircraft's roll side-to-side motion by using engine thrust and rudder was crucial in the situation. Emergency landing attempt. The flight crew was directed to Sioux City as the closest suitable airport. They were able to get the aircraft into a holding pattern over the airport while they attempted to make the best of their situation. As they approached Sioux Gateway Airport, the crew prepared for an emergency landing. They had no control over the plane's pitch or yaw in the conventional sense, but they had to fly the plane using engines thrust alone. To maintain some control over the aircraft's altitude, the aircraft was experiencing a severe roll, banking from side to side, and was struggling to maintain altitude. The crew communicated their emergency status and requested the airport to prepare for crash landing. 5. Crash landing and aftermath. The aircraft attempted to land at Sioux Gateway Airport in Sioux City, Iowa. Due to loss of hydraulic control, the crew was unable to use the flaps or wings or the eventual conventional braking system, making the landing extremely difficult. The aircraft's right wing hit the runway and the aircraft veered off the runway, breaking apart. The aircraft were then skidded to the ground, catching fire in the process. Despite the crash, the crew's efforts to maintain control of the aircraft as it descended towards the airport contributed to the 184 survivors, many of whom were able to evacuate the aircraft before the fire consumed the wreckage. Investigations and findings. The NTSB, or National Transport Safety Board, conducted detailed investigations into the accident, and several key findings were made. One was the engine failure and loss of hydraulics. The cause of the crash was found to be a fan disc fracture and the tail-mounted engine number 2. This caused a catastrophic engine failure, which led to the rupture of the hydraulic lines and the loss of all 3 hydraulic systems on the aircraft. Without hydraulic power, the flight crew were unable to use normal control surfaces like the ailerons, rudders, and elevators. These are essential for controlling the aircraft's flight path. The asymmetric thrust for control. The flight crew's innovative use of the asymmetric thrust, adjusting the power from the remaining 2 engines, allowing them to control the aircraft's yaw and some of the extent its roll. This was an unorthodox method of control, but the fact they were able to maintain some level of control was a testament to the skill of the flight crew. However, the aircraft's pitch control was limited, making it difficult to manage the descent and landing. Crew resource management. The accident underscored the importance of crew resource management, or CRM, which was a key factor in managing the emergency. The flight crew, particularly Captain Haynes, made critical decisions, and worked cohesively in a high stressful situation. Their calmness under pressure, along with the support of their team, was a major factor in the survival of so many passengers. The emergency services at Sioux City were well prepared for the crash landing. Firefighters and emergency personnel were on standby. Their prompt response helped minimize the fatalities among survivors. Many passengers were rescued from the burning wreckage. Safety recommendations. After the investigation, the NTSB issued several safety recommendations. One of them was the improvements to the aircraft's engine design, particularly related to the containment of engine parts during failure to prevent catastrophic damage to the aircraft, redesigning hydraulic systems to ensure that the loss of one hydraulic system wouldn't disable all control systems, and enhancing the crew training on casual flight control situations and encourage crew to maintain composure during emergency situations. The legacy and impact of this flight. Crew training and CRM. The crash of Flight 232 became one of the most cited examples of effective crew resource management in aviation. It was studied in flight schools around the world, and the importance of maintaining effective communication and decision-making under pressure was emphasized. The safety improvements in the aircraft system. The accident led to several improvements in the aircraft design, particularly in the areas of engine containment, hydraulic systems, and emergency control systems. However, manufacturers reviewed how the engines were attached to the aircraft and designed a stronger containment mechanism to prevent similar failures in the future. The influence on the aircraft design. The DC-10 was eventually phased out of commercial service, and investigation from the accident provided useful insights into the importance of redundancies in flight control systems and more resilient engine designs. The public recognition of crew heroic efforts. The action of Captain Haynes and his crew were wisely praised for the quick thinking, coordination, and resilience under pressure, were instrumental in saving the lives of so many people. Captain Haynes, in particular, received numerous accolades for his leadership. In conclusion, United Airlines Flight 232 is considered one of the most extraordinary cases in aviation history, where despite an overwhelming mechanical failure, the loss of all hydraulic control systems, the crew managed to guide the aircraft to a crash landing and saved the lives of 184 passengers and crew members. While 111 people perished, the incident highlighted the importance of pilot training, crew resource management, and the value of quick thinking and teamwork during a crisis. The legacy of Flight 232 had a lasting impact on the aviation industry, contributing to the safety improvements, better crew training, and more comprehensive approach to emergency situations. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. And if you'd like to leave a comment or like and subscribe, tell me what you think. If you were there when the accident happened, I'm a bit sorry about that, but if you want to leave your experience of that, please do. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your comments, and thank you for tuning in again for another episode of R.M.Aviation.